Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flizanes, your empowerment strategist and producer. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today's episode is called Coming Home to Myself. It was something that Kay Sally said in this interview that I thought was really sweet, really profound, and it was a perfect title for this conversation. So Kay is a real estate agent in Dallas, and she's been a listener to the show since 2017. I first met her back in 2019 when she and her twin sister came to the second Releasing What Weighs You Down. And she's just signed up for her third event. And I thought to myself, what does she get from the events that I don't know because I don't see her in between events? Well, until now. After this conversation, she did join the Empower You. And so now I see her in our full moon ceremonies, in our new moon circles, and in our group coaching calls. But prior to that, I had no idea what she got out of the events other than what she said while she was at the event. But obviously, if I'm only doing an event a year now, and it's not even every year, I was really curious to hear her story about her change, her transformation, her growth, why she keeps coming back. So I really appreciate today's conversation. We did it on video as well as audio, so you can go to jjflizanes.tv to meet Kay, and she will be at this year's Awaken Your Dream Life, and there are still tickets available, and I still have a 3-pay option available as of right now. So if you listen to this and you're ready to get your ticket, go to jjflizanes.com/dreamlife. We'd love to see you there. There will be a cap on the room because we do circles and the circle can only get so big. And I want to make sure that everybody gets the proper amount of time for growth. And I can't do that with an extremely large room. So if you're interested, I would say don't hesitate. Get it now. That way you can book your ticket. You can find a roommate, which will help you do for the hotel. And it's going to be so fun and extremely transformative, I promise. So if you want to learn more about Kay, if you know anybody who lives in Dallas or is moving to Dallas or is moving out of Dallas, please visit kaysally.com. It's Kaye. Sally.com. Again, the link is in the show notes or under the video on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Welcome, everyone, to today's show. I am very excited. This is a very new format for me. This is a new kind of show. I've never done this exact show that I'm about to do today. I've done plenty of testimonial shows, but nothing like what we're about to have. So for a couple of different reasons, which I'm going to explain. So if you're on the podcast listening, I'd invite you to come over to jjflizanes.tv so you can meet Kay in person. Those of you who've been to some of the events, you have met her. And those of you that are listening, I'd love you to come visit jjflizanes.tv, subscribe, and watch this video. Otherwise, welcome, Kay, to the show.
Hi, JJ.
So
really happy to be here.
You look amazing. You look wonderful.
Oh,
You're glowing. I love your hair. Everything looks great. And
thank you.
So here's how this went down, everybody. So as I was marketing the early bird pricing for the Awaken Your Dream Life event, I had recalled someone last year who had given me a very nice written testimonial. I get a lot of video testimonials. I get audio testimonials, but I don't get a lot of written ones. People just don't write back to their emails. So I did get one, and it was from Kay, and it was really very well thought out, and it was very detail oriented. And I thought, I'm going to use this in the newsletter to encourage more people to sign up for the early bird special or discount for the event. And then, lo and behold, she bought her ticket for the event. So this will be her third event. And I thought to myself, you know what? We've met, we've been together for several weekends. I don't know your whole story, because what happens in the events, we do circles. And so I do know enough about you. I know that you're a realtor. I know you live in Texas. I know you have a twin sister. I know that that's one of the reasons why you came to the first event, because, and so we're going to talk all about that, but I don't know. And I know you probably did say in the circle, but I didn't go back and rewatch the circle, when you started listening, why you started listening. And I also saw a different shift in dynamic in you, of course, from the first event to the second event. So I'd love just to hear your story. And so this is a very curious conversation that I'm having with her, because some of you guys, you listen to the show, you've come to 2 events now, you're signed up for your third one, but I don't see you in between. So there's nothing else. She's never worked with me. She's not a part of any group. And so I have no idea what happens after people leave. And especially if you keep coming back, that's great. but I kind of want to know what's going on. And so where you started. So why don't you start by telling people again, what, like a little bit about yourself and more than maybe the bio told people, and then sort of how you found me, like what were you searching for? Which show did you find? What were you looking for?
Alrighty. So I started listening to Fit to Love maybe in 2017. And I'm not quite sure how I found it. And what I noticed was you did a lot of duplicate shows on Fit to Love and Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. But then when I started listening to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, there were some variations. You put some different shows on Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, and that podcast spoke more to me than Fit to Love, because a lot of that stuff was duplicated. So I just really got into it, and I came to the first event in maybe 2018, which was 2019. Okay, releasing what weighs you down, and that really spoke to me because I felt really heavy in my life at that time, just an unexplained heaviness that I just couldn't put my finger on. And so that event title just jumped out at me, and I just came to see what it was about. When I left, I felt lighter. The event was awesome. I loved the speakers. I loved how well planned out it was, all the activities, and I felt lighter. But within probably a couple of weeks, that feeling started to wane. But you had given us enough information to gave us enough information to want to dig deeper. I said, if it could last 3 weeks, why can't it last longer? So I just used some of the tools you provided, some of the conversations that your guests talked about. And I was just able to ride it higher, to ride that feeling a little longer each time. And so whenever I was waiting for another event. So that second event, I can't remember the title of the second event. What was the title of the second?
Manifestation Bootcamp. It was last,
yeah,
it was 2021.
Yeah. That another awesome event. So it just feels like, and this one is Awaken Your Dream Life. And it feels like that with each event, there's a progression, like a growth, like you just kind of want us to up level each time. And the first two events were nothing alike. So it's not like a repeat. I didn't feel like I was going to go see the same old speech, the same old thing. So this one has a totally different theme. So I'm ready to go to the next level. So.
Well, thank you for all of that. And it is. And that's what even all three releasing what weighs you down were different. I mean, the only thing that stayed the same was I did offer exercise in the beginning of the day for those events. And I did provide most of the food, or in the last one, I took people to a campus here in Northern California where they provided the food, and it was all, grain-free, gluten-free, like all the choices that you could want on a healthy level. And I didn't have to provide it, and all the housing was there. So it was a different setup, but all three of those events were different. And that's what I say to people, even if it's titled the same event, it's going to be different because I'm different. The tools are different. I get excited about new things, and I see where people are. You weren't at the very first event. The very first Releasing What Weighs You Down is where I sort of learned that when I do events, I very much, and you don't know this, I don't think, unless I told everybody at the event, every morning at the Manifestation Bootcamp, I had an idea about what I wanted to do, but every morning I would review it, and I would kind of structure what I wanted to do based on who was there, where you were, what you needed. It's not a cookie cutter, here's what we're doing, fit into the program. The program fits around who's in the room and what you're needing. And I literally pull out of my toolbox. I mean, I have an idea about timing. There's certain things that flow in an event, like how long that you stay doing an exercise, having a break in between sessions, a lunch break, when do you end? All that, there's that kind of stuff stays the same, but the content, what goes in the sessions, to me, it's almost like a one-on-one session where I almost don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. I just let it unfold. I have all my tools in my toolbox. I have an idea of where I want to go, but based on who's there and what you need, like I said, I kind of pick and choose. I move things around. I feel into what the appropriate thing is, because that very first event, you weren't at that one, the very first Releasing What Weighs You Down, I had so many things planned. I was like, I'm going to give them everything I have. And then everyone was exhausted and burned out by the first, like the second day, like 3 o'clock. And I just could feel the energy. And I was like, nope, they are going to be so over processed and they need time to integrate. And I like removed half of that stuff off the schedule. So yeah, so they are always different, but I want to go back to the reason why. So I understand you felt heavy and you wanted to get rid of that feeling. And do you remember why you even searched, like what topic you searched for? So you were on Fit to Love. Were you searching for health things? Were you searching for emotional things, spiritual things?
Health, mostly health. And so I saw that you were a personal trainer, and I just started my, like a fitness journey around that same, and I think in 2017. So I was like really into it by the time I started listening to you. So that's kind of what got me into Fit to Love. And then I bought your book, and then I said, well, it's more to this than just fitness. So, it just got me curious about, you talked about the other podcasts. And then I think I watched, you had some cooking shows. So I just kind of explored everything that you had, and spirit, purpose, and energy is what kind of just reeled me in.
Good. Well, it reeled me in. That's a whole, I had to like put that in the middle of the whole Fit to Love thing just to give myself like this is my day and I don't care what anybody else says. And then of course, lo and behold, when I break it off and put it in its own show, it's the one that takes over, which is great because I manifested exactly what I'm passionate about talking about. And it was the umbrella that I needed. It was the brand. It was the energy. Like I just got asked to do actually they haven't been back in touch, but I got asked to do a segment on a Tampa television station. And that came over and they've got a, decent amount of viewers. It's in Tampa. I'm not going there. It'll be on Zoom, but they want to do fitness. And my energy went, like you want to do fitness? And of course I want to do fitness because it's fun to watch and it's, it's people tune in. But again, it's like, okay, I don't hate doing fitness stuff, but I want to do fitness stuff for people like you. I want to do fitness stuff for people who are on the same, who fit all and check all the boxes of the emotional journey, the spiritual journey, the self-responsibility journey, the emotional healing journey. Like I don't want to do fitness for the people that take pills and have surgeries and are never going to look underneath the hood of the car. That to me, it's like entertainment. But so it just kind of, that's what it did to me. So, okay. So you were looking for health and fitness. Now I even remember when you bought your ticket. You bought your ticket for Releasing Weighs You Down in September of September of 2018. And the reason I know that is because I was at New Media Summit for the very first time. And we were having our mastermind day and 2 tickets came over because you bought it in September because you did the 5-pay plan for a January event. And it was you and your sister. Yeah. Now I have to ask, did your sister listen to the show or did you just drag her there?
She was being pulled, but she did list. I'd send her over shows, and so she really was intrigued with Lisa Thomas and releasing, her technique on just kind of emotional DNA, releasing emotional baggage. Yep. Yeah. So we both kind of came in with the same baggage at this point in our lives. So she was interested at that. For that aspect, but I think that's where the similarities kind of stopped. So.
Yeah. Well, did you, and at that time you were, and did you do a name change after that event?
So it's not a name change. So because our name, Catrice and Patrice. So we're both real estate agents. So when we were kids in school, people called us Kay and Pat because Catrice and Patrice are just too similar. So in real estate, you need to be able to differentiate which sister you're talking about. So I decided to go back and use my childhood name to pull my, to identify myself differently. So it was a rebranding, actually. It actually feels really good. Now my husband calls me my childhood name and it feels like I'm in some new energy. I got some new things going on and using that name it just feels like new branding. It really does. So to go along with everything else.
I remember 2019, January, you guys were working on trying to separate yourselves from the twin energy of sort of who am I, like your identities. You were establishing who am I different than you? We're twins. We have similar names. Like how are we our own unique people.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
although when I saw you last year, I was like, Catrice, and then you introduced, hi, I'm Kay. And I was like, ooh, oops, oops. I didn't want to, cause again, that's who I knew you as. But I do love this. That's why I thought, I wonder if this came out of an energetic need for
It
even
did.
more clarification about your energy different than your twin
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah. It did. It did. And, and I'm still Catrice, but it's just, it feels like I'm just Kay now. It's easier to say. People know me when they see me and they don't mistake me for someone who looks like me.
Yeah. Well, you guys, while you're twins, but I remember I could tell you apart. So it's not
Yes,
like
yes, yes, yes.
you do have distinctions that, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you weren't hard to tell apart. I remember
Yes,
physical differences in the
yes,
two of you that made me
yes.
know without, it's not like you dress the same or, although you do have very different energy. I do remember that. So, all right. So we have 2019, you come, you do your sister work, you leave, you're on a high, you take some of the tools and you get back into it. The heaviness has kind of disappeared, although it came back.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was January 2019. I did have the
Mm-hmm.
manifestation boot camp later that year, but then I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything in 2020. And that was
Yeah.
planned prior to the world going crazy. So I knew I wasn't going to do a live event in 2020 and that the next live event wouldn't be till 2021. So tell me what kind of inspired you to come to the boot camp and what had happened in your life after releasing Weighs You Down until the second boot camp.
So it's interesting that you addressed my rebranding, my name, just, using my childhood name. Everything changed. It felt like that. It was like the kick in the seat of my pants that I needed to dig deeper, to look at everything. I mean, everything, to look at, my family dynamics, to look at my marriage, to look at how I interacted with my kid, how I, showed up in my neighborhood and in my friend group. And so I just, everything changed. And it just felt like I just wanted to keep the momentum. Again, I like the titles of your events. I just says, well, who doesn't want to manifest? So so I went and it was another great event. And so that's how I wound up at the second one. And then this one, Awaken Your Dream Life. I mean, I just got to see that. I just got to be there.
I'm so excited. Well, and it's, I'm torn with sharing too much, I think, I don't know if I said it on a podcast already. I probably did. That's been published that basically like, if you trust me, just show up. You don't need to know. Like, I'm not trying to sell you on what we're doing, because it's, again, like I just said at the beginning of today, it does change. I'm going to come with certain tools that I want to make sure everybody does. And there's a point of focus and there's a technique that I want to use that's different than I've ever done at any event. There'll be a few little similarities, but they're important things that we can then build on. It's like exercise, right? Like even if you're good at it, I'm going to make sure you're great at it. We're going to retest how many people have kept up allowing themselves to receive. Can you get in receiving mode? And can you acknowledge and can you see the things in your life that are working on a regular basis? Do you know how to switch your vibration frequently and change your point of focus? That will have to be in there. But then this whole other set of tools, I'm so excited. I kind of want to tell people, but I don't want to tell people because I don't want someone to let that upper limit them from coming, which is why, again, the title is, when we came up with this in the mastermind in March in Myrtle Beach together, because I was dealing with, I needed a title for this, a title for that, and a title for this. I had 3 different things I was working on. And all these different words were floating around. And then I was like, well, what's this really about? This is about awakening your dream life. Because again, manifestation, releasing, blah, blah, like all the things I said in the video on the landing page, it's really about what are we doing moving forward? We can look and see what happened now or in the past, but what are you doing moving forward? And what tools do you have to move forward and to activate and to recalibrate the parts of the brain and the parts of you that maybe don't get expressed? And so I love this like transformation of really the momentum that got created. And so what happened after the manifestation boot camp? So that was October 2021, and Awaken Your Dream Life will also be October 2022. So, and you just purchased your ticket at the early bird. So let's say from the time I announced it, which was in May, right? I guess it was only a month. It was only like a couple of months. What went through your mind in terms of, was it that you had seen and used the tools in and had that momentum and wanted to keep going? Or do you have a specific thing you already want to reach for? You just want some more tools to get it?
No, it's just the progression. Like I said, each event just keeps me up leveling, and I absolutely agree. And I can sense as a participant that you feel the energy in the room. So the title is awesome. So I just know that you're going to bring the energy, the information, the tools to make us, understand what you mean by awaken your dream life. So, and that's so, the last event, it almost felt like you would pause on points to see what we needed. To be able to give us what we needed. And the first event, I mean, I was floored. It was so much information, but not overwhelming. And it was just, you guys just knew what to give us as a group. I got to visit with a lot of the participants over lunch and over our meals and snacks and breaks. And everyone said the same thing. So the reason I got this ticket is just to keep this thing going. The last one, you used upper limit. You really taught us how not to upper limit. And so it feels like that I've kind of knocked the dust off of upper limiting. So yeah, so this is to kind of go to the next horizon. Yeah, the next level.
And this time you're staying one more night so you can come to the VIP
am.
dinner. Yes.
I
everyone who's coming to the VIP dinner, Kay's going to be with us. She's already signed up. So, and that'll be great because and I know it's because I tell people it ends at 2:00 on Sunday, but really, I mean, I could keep everybody there. I really do want people to just integrate, and like, you're not going to go back to work on Monday necessarily. I mean, you can, but for some people it gets harder depending on how much energy. It gets a lot of energy that gets, moved around. And so giving yourself some time just to sort of integrate that. So what changes in yourself did you notice after the last one, after the boot camp?
That I was more willing to, I've been more to be patient with myself. And to just more clearly. It feels like that I've come home to myself. I've stopped looking around. I've stopped grasping. I've stopped running and chasing and testing the temperature, my relationships with my environment. No more shape shifting. I just more ease and flow and surrender in my life, and things just feel a lot calmer. I don't have as much activity in my life. I don't have as many clients. Last year was a very, very, very busy year, which I was grateful financially. But this year I have clients and I'm able to give them more of me. I'm able to show up differently, and it feels really, really good to me. Yeah. So in that way, I'm not making as much money this year, but my life feels calmer. I feel happier. And the clients that I do serve, I give them like really great service. And that feels good to me. So
why don't you tell people about your business and where you are and what you do?
I'm a real estate agent in Dallas, Texas. And so in 1990, believe it was, I took all the real estate classes and just didn't take the test. And the company I worked for before I came home with my son, I had my son, he's 14 now. Before I had him, I worked at a real estate company. So real estate's been in my blood for a really, really long time. I tell you, after the Releasing What Weighs You Down, I gave my life a really good look. And I realized that it's really a part of who I am and what I love, and that I would be great at it. And so I came back. I had to take some of the classes just as a refresher. I took that test. It just gave me the courage to step out into my life, into the forefront of my own life. And like I said, stop looking around, stop seeing what everybody else was doing, and then put the energy and focus into my own life. But I'm a real estate agent. I love it. I really enjoy buyer clients because I get to spend more time with them. I enjoy sellers too, don't get me wrong, but that's a kind of a cleaner deal. But buyer clients, I get to establish a relationship, and get to walk them through a process that I find really exciting. So,
How did you like How I Manifested My Dream Home episode?
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Well, now that I know, I mean, I know you're in real estate, but I wondered if you have a different, one of my clients, you don't know Veronica, but she had listened to the show and she was in the process of buying a new home. And then she even said to me, she was supposed to come to the boot camp and she couldn't make it because she was moving into her new home. But she said, yeah, I followed all the steps you said. And I did the same thing. I manifested my dream home. And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like, I just think it's a really cool story, but like, she like literally, no, I wrote it down and I followed all the steps and then I did the same thing and I manifested my dream home. So anyway, for people that work in real estate, I know, my story about my friend who was kind of my real estate agent here and me
Yes.
saying to him, like, this is not going to work for me. Like, I get stuff people tell me I can't get. We
Yes.
need to be about possibility. Like, I can't
Yes. Yes.
forget
Yes.
practicality. I need possibility. I need better energy. And then of course, it ended up that way. But I also saw on your website that you donate a percentage of all sales to a charity. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, it's a charity, Frisco Family Services, and I live in Frisco, Texas. And so 10% of all of my sales, I donate to Frisco Family Services. I also volunteer with them probably, 50, 60 hours a year. So it's an organization that's near and dear to my heart because how I got to know about it was just working in the school district some time back. They donate meals during the summer for kids who are, like free and reduced lunch during the school year. And then in the summertime, they still need help. So I found out that they donate meals to those children during the summer. So it just really, it touched me because I, had some security as a kid. And so something like that would have really helped us out when we were kids. So, and I just love the organization. And so one of the things that I also did when I got back from 2019 was to just really think about who I am. And so I came up with 4 things that really matter to me. My personal freedom. So freedom's at the top of the list. Uh, freedom, contribution, so that feeds my bug, exercise, so some movement, and it's one more. Let's see, freedom. Oh, and knowledge. So what coming to your events and listening to podcasts and reading. So freedom, knowledge, movement, and contribution. So Frisco Family Services. I mean, it really, really. It speaks to me. I'm able to actively, physically volunteer, and then put my money where my mouth is. So
That's wonderful. That's amazing. Uh, as of the recording of this show, my fundraiser has not aired. It airs tomorrow. But for those of you that are hearing this now in real time, I did have a fundraiser earlier on for a kitten rescue here in Los Angeles. It's not where I live right now, but it's where I used to live. And it's just really, really, it's not a good situation. It's very overpopulated. And so I've even said that 10% of all tickets moving forward until the event, I will donate back to the cat friends and the cat rescue fundraiser. So, but I love when I was looking at your website that's what you do, because I think that's just amazing. And it does, it really can give people a sense of who you are and what you're about and what's important to you. And I think that's really important for making a differentiation between real estate agents. Because when minus the inventory that you have, or, it's a relationship building. And so the more you can let people know this is what I value and this is what's important to me, I think that probably really helps. So what I don't know that I've never asked you, and you don't have to tell me, I probably have it somewhere on a piece of paper. I don't know your birthday, you and Patrice's birthday.
It's October 24th. So I'm a Scorpio.
You are a Scorpio. All right.
I'm a Scorpio. Yeah. And then my, let's see,
moon?
I wrote it down.
My
rising is Aries and my North Node is Aries.
What about your moon?
Moon. Oh boy. Sagittarius.
Okay. You and I have the same moon. All right. So here's the connection, right? You got Scorpio, Pisces, Sun. So we're very, very compatible in the sun. And then we have the exact same moon. So you feel me, right? We can't be this far along coming to the third event and been listening since 2017 if you didn't feel me. So you get it. And that's good. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't, and they take offense and they think I'm judging or shaming or whatever, or they don't want to be pushed. So I appreciate that about you. And Yeah. And we're very, very compatible. You and I. I'm surprised your sister didn't like me a little bit more, but that's okay. That's okay. Blessings, Patrice. It's good. All right. So I would love anybody who is in Dallas or who knows anyone lives in Dallas or anyone moving to Dallas to consider working with Kay. And let's talk about where they can find you, where your website is.
My website is kaysally.com, and it's K with Kaye. There's an E on the end of K. So kaysally.com. And I'm not very active on social media because I've realized that it just overwhelms me. Although I do have Instagram and Facebook, it's just not where I make my most authentic connections. I just use it kind of just to poke around with family and friends and just poke around every now and then. But my website, kaysally.com. And then, you can reach out and all my information's on my website, my phone number and my email address. So.
Okay. So if you're in the market for a home, you're looking to buy in Dallas, in and around Dallas, and or anyone that you know who's moving and doesn't know anybody or is looking, please, I would recommend sending them to, now her link will be below in the show notes. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it's right underneath this video. So kaysally.com. And because again, you're 10% of what, goes to charity. I mean, how can it got to feel good about that. You're going to buy a house and you're going to support children. I mean, hello, that's a great cause. So I have to ask, because when we first started talking and you talked about fitness and health and feeling heavier emotionally, and then you said you looked at your whole life differently. So the names got switched and stuff in all parts of your life, your marriage, your family dynamics, your friends, your business started to change. What do you think is the overarching? Were you looking for more peace and centeredness? Do you think that has each one of those aspects of your life shifted for the better? I mean, you were looking at them and you were evaluating yourself, but what was the bottom line and what kind of changes did you make in each of those areas?
I think overall, I needed to pull my energy away from, I was putting all my energy into other people, into other activities, and I needed to be more introspective. The heaviness was carrying around other people's burdens, other people's opinions, expectations that they had on me, and then me projecting those expectations, other expectations onto them. So I just had to release everything. I just had to release everything. And exercise is a non-negotiable for me now, because it's kind of the way that I, any stress or residue that I have about anything, it's the way that I expel it. But yeah, everything changed. And fortunately, and I was really prepared for this. I looked at my marriage too, and I was prepared to just kind of see where things went. But fortunately, it was a space, it was an open space for me to grow. And, our relationship just opened up in a way that I saw that my behavior was contributing to that contraction. And so for me to release whatever it was I was carrying around, to feel more free in my life and to feel more loving towards myself, I could be more loving to other people. And it's just blossomed into just a beautiful relationship. And I wasn't sure that it would. I was just, and I think that's the way I was operating in most of my interactions. I was just afraid if I dropped everything, how am I, how am I going to show up? How are people going to receive me? What's going to be left? And so fortunately that relationship remained really good and intact, and I'm able to, have a container for growth there and a few other areas as well. But, it's just been really good. But exercise, movement, for me, it feels like almost like a metaphor for just getting rid of stagnant energy. Just keeps everything moving. So exercise is like the cornerstone of kind of how I operate now.
So it's a commitment to yourself.
Yes,
it's almost like your display of your commitment to yourself on a daily basis. Like if nothing else, I'm going to take the time for me to work on me, to give my body something it needs and allow my energy to sort of be released, whether it be emotional or just physical. And that's like a dedication to yourself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it, some days I just don't want to do it. But the moment that if I go a couple days without, taking care of myself in that area, I just start to feel it. I start to feel it, and it almost feels like you didn't brush your teeth. You got to get in there and brush your teeth. You got to keep things moving. So no, it's a commitment. It's dedication.
So of your 4 planets, rising, sun, moon, and north node, you and I are exactly the same in terms of
Wow.
we each have one water sign, which is our sun sign, and 3 other fire signs. So you do
Wow.
need to move. Anybody with a lot of fire, like literally needs to move. Like, I'm sorry,
Yes.
that is a non-negotiable. Otherwise you will have anxiety because you have all this energy and you need to like allow it out.
Yes.
So, and maybe unless somebody like performs, I guess another way, if someone was a singer, or that would be a way someone could probably not exercise and get rid of some energy because it's literally allowing to flow out of you. But anyone with a lot of fire, like us, I mean, exercise is going to kind of set you straight. It's going to allow
Okay.
out all like that nervous energy to dissipate so that you can come back to being calm and centered and find your intuition and allow yourself to be in that place. So, well, congratulations on that. Am I guessing that in your marriage, you are supported that in continuing to come to California to do these events?
Yes, unfortunately, so October is my birth month, and so the last 2 have been, my birth month, and so it's been a commitment to find something to do around my birthday. So fortunately, we're doing that. And actually, I found another retreat. So he says, "Oh wow, you're gonna do something every weekend in October." So, but yeah, so I'm very supported. But yeah, so it just feels like I said earlier, just a coming home to myself, just a way to recalibrate. And when I was at the last event, Manifestation Boot Camp, the very first day I got there, I think I got there the day before, I called my husband several times, and he says, "You know what, you're calling too much." He said, "You call me when you wake up, you call and before you go to bed." He says, "I need you to take this time for yourself." And I says, "I will." So, and it was
Perfect.
awesome. I needed to hear that. So,
Well, that's great. Well, normally when spouses or partners see change in their other, normally there's resistance to the first one or resistance to like money or whatever. But then they see change, especially with the men when I get their women to have sex with them more, then they're like, "Oh, whatever you want, here's my credit card." And like, they love that. They're JJ fans after they get more sex, because I'm encouraging their women to connect with them differently. So, yeah, so I always like hearing whether or not, obviously, if your relationship, if you came home feeling like, I'm not sure where this is going to go and if this is going to keep going, and then all of a sudden it became blossomed and it's growing and you've changed and everything has shifted, like for the better, of course, right? Then like to see that, and do others see that around you? So here's another question. Do others, like, tell me a little bit about the relationship you have with Patrice right now, like how, and if that has shifted, changed, how that is versus when I first met you in 2019. Let's just start with that question.
So 2020, we had let's just say a split, and I think it's normal for twins, but we were 50, we were 50 at the time, so we were really old to kind of be going through things that maybe we should have done when we were teenagers or maybe early 20s, just kind of just became more individual instead of just clinging to one another. And so it turned out to be a really, let's see what the word is. It was just unfortunate. It was an unfortunate break. We've reconciled and we've come back together. And it was necessary. It was necessary for both of us. And we both are much happier. We've grown from the experience, but in the midst of it, I mean, 2020 was a really rough year for us. And I think it came right off the heels of releasing What Weighs You Down. I think that just kind of planted the seed for us to want to kind of look at that. But yeah, so we're in a much better place now. We don't talk as much as we used to, but when we come together, it's good. It's really good.
You guys needed some space, right? I'm sure there's like the word enmeshed comes up for me, right? Like and almost codependent, enmeshed, like, right? And lack of self-identity when you're always connected to somebody else. And I'm sure that's probably hard. I mean, I know that was part of 2019 at the event. So to have that separation almost gives you, like you said, unfortunate, but at the same time, it's just a break and you made your way back. And now it's like you get to set a new pattern, versus repeating an old pattern that
Right.
nobody liked and nobody
Right.
was, and that's why I always say to people, whether it be, like if you have a business or you're, the events and doing things like this are a way for you to come out of your life and work on your life so that you know how to make choices in your life that support where you're going versus if when we just read or, listen and we're in it because you're in it, right? You're in a pattern of your daily life and habits. And until we can remove to get some perspective and look at it differently, we end up continuing to repeat the patterns.
Yes.
Not too many people can be in a pattern and do a pattern shift. It's almost like you just need space. I did a show called Pattern Interrupting. Like you have to interrupt the pattern. You got to go. That's why people go on vacation and they have ideas and they feel freer and they let go of things that they've been complaining about. And sometimes they have ideas and perspectives, but you couldn't have gotten there in the same pattern, energetic pattern that most people continue. So I think that while unfortunate, it sounded like a blessing to kind of reestablish who are you together and separately. And here's where we want to go. We don't want to keep dragging this story forward.
Right.
We want a new story. And we got to create that. So how anybody else notice differences in you since all this growth?
Sure, sure. I mean, I think everyone has. My friend circles. Some people have fallen off, and that feels unfortunate in the sense that they were long term. Some of them were long term relationships, but and I think about it, I can't exchange that freedom for anything. I mean, free. So I was messing around the house yesterday. Today is Monday. So I was messing around the house yesterday and had a friend that loved to go to brunch every Sunday. And I was so grateful I didn't have to go to brunch yesterday. I just wanted to be at home. But for years, I didn't have, I think just to be honest, just the courage to say, I just want to be home. I don't want to go to get dressed and go to brunch. So some relationships fell off, but some beautiful new relationships have sprung up. And they don't seem as intense, and I don't feel as drained in the relationships because I was just attracting just kind of more of what I'd been used to. So relationships feel lighter. I'm laughing more, things more. And if I don't want to do something, if I want to stay at home and organize some towels, that's just what I do, and I don't feel bad about it. So everything has shifted. Everything has shifted. Everything has changed. I'm really fortunate that I was able to make a relationship with my husband again, but I wasn't grasping to that either. I said, let's just see kind of how we can rework this thing. And so I'm grateful that it has blossomed into something beautiful. So everyone has noticed.
Excellent. Well, I hope one of these years, maybe he wants to come along with you. That would be really fun to have him there, unless you don't want him there because you want to do your own work separately. That's different.
I do.
Okay. All right.
But I tell you, I listen to podcasts every Saturday morning in bed. And so he does come and he'll say, okay, so what podcast did you listen to today? And so what are we talking about this morning? So that's our Saturday morning conversation. So he may, I don't know.
Okay. Well, he's always welcome. I got more men coming to this one so far at this stage than ever before. So this is good. Just continuing to move that needle of but I do love the men that listen to me. So those of you that are out there that never say anything, I acknowledge you and I honor you because it says a lot about you, actually. And I would love to know you and I would love to hear from you and I would love to see you somewhere. So please, if nothing else, drop me an email. Let me know because I get very excited and I feel very honored when a strong, confident man who, wants to listen and grow. I mean, gosh, whew, that's like, right. That's awesome. Women love men that want to grow because we don't want to feel like we're alone on this journey. It's just, to be supportive and to be open to all of that. It's just great. So, well, I want to say this has been a really fun conversation. I thought of it and I'm glad you pushed through your upper limit to do it and to be on the show. I thought, I know I'll see you in October. It's going to be super fun. I'm glad you're coming to the VIP dinner afterwards. You're not going to leave so fast. And that's awesome. And yeah, and I just was curious because I couldn't even speak to, well, she keeps coming. So I guess she's getting good stuff. And I don't know what's really changing because I don't, at a live event, I don't have time to pull you aside and just have a one-on-one conversation with you. So I thought, well, let's have a one-on-one conversation and share it with other people because sometimes, what's in the self-development space before I started doing my own events, when there's sometimes, and a lot of the ones I used to go to, I mean, some of them were sexuality related or sex related and passion related, but a lot of them were financial related, and they were about making more money. And even though we went down the path of the emotional, what's blocking you and what they didn't use upper limits, but what fears and scarcity thinking and beliefs do you have that stop you from getting there, even though that's all covered, those events have a super high, and I love Tony Robbins, but think about what you think a Tony Robbins event is, like a super high, almost forced energy versus a naturally, what I think is aligned energy that comes out of people of high vibration that want to be together. There's an energy that happens at the events that I've even told somebody when she said, hey, I what if I just work with you? I'm like, no, you need the event. The event is different. I can't give you what an event gives you. I can't give you that energy and that experience. I can give you more detailed information, but work with me after, but come to the event for the total life shift and transformation that happens in your body. But some of the events as a business owner that I've been to over the years, again, it's super high. And even I love Tony, but he goes behind before he gets on stage, he does jumping jacks and he gets himself all pumped up with his energy. And then and then people crash and they can't sustain it. And so you come to an event, you spend the money, you get excited, you think bigger, and then you go home and you revert back to exactly what you used to do. And that's what I think a lot of the fear is for people about coming to an event. Oh, I'm going to go to an event. I'm going to feel really high because of all the people that are there. And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to feel really great. And I'm going to have all these ideas. And then I'm going to go home and nothing's going to change. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on, because you keep coming. So obviously you've been making changes and you don't do any other work with me in between the events. So I wanted people to hear that someone who listens to the show, who does not work with me privately, who is in no group, has taken the tools learned at the events and on the show, implemented them in life, and continues to get momentum and growth and change. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. And I agree. It's the events are not so high that you crash after 2 or 3 days when you get home. It feels like incremental changes are possible. You take what you learn, whatever tools that you offer us, and you can go home and you can use them. It's just not so much that you're overwhelmed, and that's what I love about it. I've said before, I just keep building with each event. I'm able to build onto what I've. So it's been a year. So I've had a lot of time to practice some of the stuff that we talked about, what we learned, and some of the material, to digest some of the material. And so now it's time to go to the next level. So it's not so much that you feel like about to explode. It's incremental, digestible, change that you can implement into your life comfortably if you're willing to do the work.
Well, I appreciate this conversation and you willing to come on, because a lot of the other people who are on giving their, their information, their testimonial, if you will, about the change are also involved in other groups. So they are involved in other groups throughout the year. And so that support helps them. And you represent, for the people, the ones who just want to come to an event or maybe think, oh, I'm not going to go because I'm afraid that that's going to happen. Now, can it still happen? Of course. You can come to an event and you can go home and do nothing, and it doesn't change you at all. Of course you can. But it's the understanding that this is unlike one of those really hypey events, where you're left feeling like, yes, exhausted and crashing, but it's unsustainable. Part of the reason why I keep doing these and will always do them is because I think it's the momentum that gets created and the cellular level changes that happen by being around other like-minded people on a similar journey that help you to know you're not alone in the world. So you get to see that other people are struggling with the same things, and you get to know them. In one of my groups right now, I'm seeing people who used to be what I would consider more shy blossom and open up just because they have someone to talk to about this information, and they trust and know that everybody is talking about the same information. There's a bit of trust that happens there, but it's what happens. I feel like you said, coming home to yourself, it's that truth seeking, it's that blossoming, it's that connection. And yeah, and it's not about me pounding information. It's supposed to be digestible. And like, I want it to sink in and I want it to, take root. And of course, yes, I always offer a way to continue on the journey with me on a more ongoing touch by touch basis. But I love hearing that you've had such change and progress that just by coming to an event, listening to the show. So I thank you for coming on, because I was very curious about, like, I don't know, what happens in between these events? How does she change her life? She obviously must be doing well and things are going good and things are moving in the right direction. Otherwise you don't sign up for 3 events if that's not the case. So I appreciate your time today. Again, please, everybody, this is someone you want to work with. If you're in the Dallas area, you're looking to buy a home, somebody, think about all the people in Texas and tell them, hey, if you're looking for a realtor, and send them her email and her website address, kaysally.com, KAYESALLY.com, or EY. Yeah. Okay. But the link is below. So click the link, send it to everybody that you know in Texas, anyone moving to Texas, anyone thinking about Texas. So that way, not only are they buying a house, they're supporting children and giving them meals to help them throughout the entire year. I think that's an amazing cause. Kay, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to see you in October.
Thank you so much, JJ. You're awesome. Thank you.